The hour-long race in the GT4 Winter Series kicked off with quite the spread of cars trying to find room into the first corner. Tom Leben decided he was going to carry all the speed in the world in the McLaren from Elite Motorsport all the way around the outside on the runoff area, and he moved into the race lead. Enrico Ferderer from behind was scratching his head a bit and saying, is that legal? And clearly Tom Leben wasn't sure either, because a lap later he allowed the SR Motorsport Mercedes back into the lead. He tried to hold on, tried to go back on the offensive on the second lap of the race, but shortly thereafter, unfortunately for the elite team, the SR Mercedes would start to disappear up the road. We had a little bit of contact between Tobias Bill-Clausen and Maximilian Schreier, and then more than a little bit of contact between Schreier and Badouin Detu as they fought for 4th, 5th and 6th places. By this time they'd fallen well off the top three and were having a great scrap, but it was getting more than a little physical. Tobias Bill-Clausen was keen to get through on the slightly wounded Aston Martin. It looked like the Aston was struggling all race long, and to be fair, so was the other. Thilo Gossen, the older, naturally aspirated Aston Martin, having a spin, and that would trigger a safety car period, while the ever diligent, never fast on their feet marshals made their way out onto the gravel. The racing continued on very quickly, and it was Ravi Ramid having a great battle and some gravelly excursions with Tim Horrell. Ravi would soon be back on the case against Tim. Tobias Bill-Clausen was on the case, got past Maximilian Schreier, and then Badouin Detu and Schreier met in the middle there. Another instance of contact between the Aston and the Porsche. Then Ravi Ramid was trying to find a way past Tim Horrell. The Porsche was looking particularly wide, and unfortunately the Aston Martin started to slow. Both Aston Martins failing to finish. Racing Spirit of Le Mans having issues in all three races. A very hard weekend for the Swiss team. They'll be hoping for better results in Aragon. Contact then between Ramid and Horrell as the BMW driver dove to the inside. And unfortunately the Sentry car would end up stuck in the gravel. It would remain there though during the pit stop window, as to not disadvantage those who did not pit at the very start of the window. So we were going through this pit stop phase of the race knowing full well that we were going to have a safety car at the conclusion of the pit stop cycle. Great side-by-side action between Franz Linden and I believe that was Mikael Sander fighting there. And then after the pit stop window was observed, it was time for a safety car to quickly recover Ravi Ramid's machine. Back to racing and back to dominating for J-Mo Hartling, who had taken over the SR Motorsport machine at the front. The other SR cars, the Porsches, were getting all into it in the Cayman Trophy class, along with Arne Hofmeister, who had taken over the Speedworks machine. It was Luisa Carla leading the way in Cayman Trophy at this juncture, and Cedric Fuchs making life very difficult for Arne Hofmeister in the battle for second in the Cayman class. And Cedric really pushing the envelope as well, clearly. This was the move, though, for the lead in Cayman Trophy. Luisa Carla leaving the inside line open. Arne Hofmeister then getting alongside for turn 3. Luisa thinking better of it and allowing the Speedworks car through. She then received notification of a drive-through penalty and elected to allow her teammate Cedric Fuchs by. And he would then give chase to Arne Hofmeister. Hofmeister, however, would get past Nico Grundle, and Grundle would prove to be quite the adversary for the 110 car of Cedric Fuchs. Cedric eventually managed to find a way past Grundle, but it took many, many laps of hard fighting just like this. Every time Cedric thought he'd gotten by, the slightly superior straight line speed of the GT4 spec Porsche meant the Cayman Trophy machine was left in the dust. Though eventually Cedric Fuchs did it with a little bit of a lean. Second in class though in Cayman Trophy was all he could muster on this occasion. The W&S Porsches were fighting among themselves. Kuzi Saitak having a great scrap with Nico Grundle on the fringes of the overall top 10. And that battle ended with a flourish as the number 30 of Grundle had a sideways moment. Meanwhile, at the front of the order, J-Mo Hartling had disappeared off and up the road to win the race comfortably. Second place would fall to Mackenzie Cresswell for Elite Motorsport, and Callum Davis would round out the overall podium for Rafa Racing by Racelab. A perfect weekend though for SR Motorsport by Schnitzellaum Racing. The green and black Mercedes has won all 3 races and leapt fourth in the championship standings. Mackenzie Cresswell for Elite Motorsport taking second place ahead of Callum Davis and Charlie Hart for Racelab. Rafa Racing. Axel Bengtsson in 4th position for BWT Muka Motorsport. Alon Gabai in 5th place for W&S Motorsport. Joachim Bulting's AM-Class Porsche Cayman run by Plusline Racing Team in 6th. Arne Hofmeister 7th for Speedworks Automotive. Cedric Fuchs in 8th place by SR Motorsport by Schnitzellaum. Nico Grundle in 9th position for W&S Motorsport. Kusi Saitak in 10th position for the Pro Class entry there. Oscar Rinzovic in 11th place, just beating Luisa Kala to the line after her drive-through penalties. Ravi Ramyid, a non-finisher, as was Badouin Detu, Tilo Gus and Marcin Karzewski in another thrilling endurance race, another thrilling pit stop race in the GT4 Winter Series.